Hi guys, I'm Brian McCauley with McCauley's Design Workshop, and today I'm going to show you how to make end grain cutting boards without a drum sander. Stick around. As with every project, you've got to start by flattening your stock and getting a 90-degree edge on it. Then it's over to the table saw to start cutting all your stock into strips to start making your cutting board. With all your stock cut up, we can start our first glue up. For this, I'm just taking all of the different types of wood and making sure I don't have any of the same species butted up against each other. With the glue dry, I'll cut the blank so that one edge has all of the boards at the same length. Then it's off to the planer to make all of our strips the same thickness. Next, you need to cut your blank into strips again. This thickness of the strips determines the thickness of your cutting board. I'm cutting mine at 1.5 inches. You have to know that. Next, you're going to set all of your strips on your clamps and flip them all over so that the end grain is facing up. After you cut them on the table saw, make sure you keep your strips in the same order that you cut them. Once all your end grain is flipped up, you're going to flip every other strip end over end to create the pattern on your board. Now it's time to glue them up again. For this second glue up, I like to use cowls to distribute the pressure of the clamps evenly across the board. With the strips clamped up, I like to clean up any of the glue squeeze out I get with a damp paper towel. This is where a drum sander would come in really handy. I don't have one, so I run the end grain boards through my planer, taking extremely light cuts until everything is evened up. Using this method does result in some tear out in the end of your board. I plan for this ahead of time and I just trim it off later. Gluing sacrificial strips to your cutting board before sending it through the planer would help to prevent the tear out. Next, I throw a 120 grit belt on my belt sander and sand, 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 forever. Then I switch to 150 grit. Did I mention you have to sand a lot? Before I get to my final grit, I put the profile along the edges of my cutting boards at the router table. Of course, profiling an end grain cutting board means more sanding, and this has to be done by hand. With the profile sanded, I throw a 220 grit pad on my sander and, you guessed it, sand some more. Forever. Did I mention that a drum sander would be really useful in making end grain cutting boards? And with all the sanding complete, it's time to finish. I use mineral oil when finishing my cutting boards. Apply a very liberal amount and continue adding the oil until the board doesn't soak any more in. So that's how I go about making end grain cutting boards without a drum sander. Obviously a drum sander would make things a lot easier, but I don't have one, so that's how I do it. All of these cutting boards are for sale on my website right now, so if you want to go check those out, maybe pick up a Christmas present for somebody, I'd really appreciate the support. Other than that, the best way to support my channel is through Patreon. If you're interested in what I do and kind of helping me out a little bit, I'd really appreciate it if you stop over there and check out my Patreon page. So if you liked the video, please subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to follow me on my website, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.